All right, we are back on the Andre Duke Show with Carter Smith. Carter, how we doing, man?
Good, man. Good. It's a beautiful Monday. It was a little chilly here in Columbus, man. I mean, it was like a high of 50 something. Felt like real football weather outside, but it was a good day. Just got some things done. Just flipped on my Indians. Get to see them beat up on the Yankees. All you Yankees fans out there, sorry, but yeah, no, it's a good day, man. We got the Indians, Monday Night Football. Got a great weekend of college football behind us, but excited to get back into it. Excited to continue this journey through the college football season and through just football season in general. But how about you, man? How's your Monday been?
Monday's great. After the football palooza weekend, had some wings and wings and things, and uh, got it rocking and rolling. I had a couple of pops and enjoyed the weekend off.
There you go. Love it, man. Love it. Well, saw some things over social media over the past few days that I like to lead off just to get our beaks wet per se. But here's an interesting stat for you, and it plays into Notre Dame's schedule a little bit. But did you know this? Obviously, I know you did, but let me throw it up here real quick if I can. Army and Navy are both ranked in the top 25 for the first time since 1960. I just think that's really cool, man. Like those two schools, obviously they are part of the armed forces, the academies, all that. You got Air Force as well, but they've been beaten up on in college football because of some of the hindrances they have in recruiting and development and all that stuff because of the limits they have, specifically on the offensive line and things like that. Not able to really run the offenses of modern day college football, sticking to more of the veer option, triple option type of offenses and things like that. But they're out there performing, man. They got two undefeated top 25 teams this year.
Well, when it comes to this, I can't say I'm not shocked. It's gonna be one of those things that they don't have the issues that other programs have. They don't have kids potentially sitting out for NIL. So
yeah,
our Army and Navy are pretty solid, and like the way it stands at their end of the year, their conference championship game is before their last game.
Yes, so that's one thing I wanted to talk about. It's crazy. So hypothetically, and let's get to this comment first, just because listen, ZD, you're wrong, but I appreciate the comment. They're not going to take Notre Dame to the woodshed. But let's hypothetically say they do. Hypothetically, Army and Navy could both go out and beat Notre Dame. And so they would face each other in the conference championship at 12-0 or 11 they had 12-0. They'd both be 12-0 in the conference championship of the American Conference. They would face each other the weekend after the Ohio State-Michigan game, the conference championship weekend. They'd play that weekend on Saturday. Whoever wins that game at 13-0, hypothetically, obviously would be probably the group of 5 team that makes the playoffs on Selection Sunday the day after. Get into the playoffs. They would be one of the 12 teams in the playoffs. Have to turn around 6 days later, and they'd have to play the annual Army-Navy game against the other school, who is 12-1. Now, let's hypothetically say that the team that lost the first match wins the second match, and now they're both 13-1 or 12-1 or whatever they are. One of them's already in the playoffs. What do you do with the other team?
Well,
I mean, you can't change the playoffs after they're set, obviously, but that seems like a major issue to me.
This is what happened.
Yeah, it would be wild as fuck.
This is what happens when people sit down and make decisions and they don't think of every possible scenario. Because remember the old BCS?
Yeah.
And they
You mean
put
the
in
good days?
yeah, well, they put in 2-loss LSU to the national championship to play Ohio State when LSU shouldn't have been there.
What year was that?
Uh,
2007 when LSU won?
yeah, when they won it,
Why should they have not been there?
they were a 2-loss team.
Yeah, but who would have gone above them?
I think it was Oklahoma or somebody was undefeated at the time. I'll have to look now because it was that same year that West Virginia crapped against Pitt. Remember that?
Yeah. No, I remember. I think you're mixing up years. I don't think it's that year. But I mean, did they get it wrong? LSU went out and took Ohio State to the goddamn woodshed, as ZD would say. So you can't tell me LSU wasn't the best team that year.
I gotta look real quick because there was somebody else that was.
There was very few times that the BCS got it wrong. Now, one of the arguments is the year that I think USC played Oklahoma, and Auburn was undefeated and didn't make it. That was the one year you could argue. But even then, I think USC and Oklahoma were both undefeated. So you had 3 undefeated. So one of them wasn't going to make it anyways. But I'm just saying, if you gave the playoff model to the BCS model, like you put the computers in place the way they had it, and you could make it so much more advanced now with all the new computer analytics and everything that are out there, it would be so much better than having a group of random people decide who looks best.
It was the year Kansas won the Orange Bowl. Kansas should have been in the BCS
over LSU.
Yeah, Kansas was 11-1 and LSU was 11-2.
Okay, but Kansas also played in the Big 12 and played absolutely nobody the whole year. So strength of schedule is part of the equation.
Yeah,
so that's how LSU got in. LSU won the SEC title game.
Who did they lose to that year?
Either way, the BCS wasn't flawless. I'm not saying that. But neither was the AP when they just named national championship. Neither was the 4-team playoff when they had complete bias because ESPN owned it and because, I mean, yeah. There's no perfect system, but the BCS was pretty solid, I will say. I always thought so. And if you want better results, play better teams. I don't know.
LSU lost to Arkansas and Kentucky that year.
Okay, but who'd they beat? They probably beat some really good teams.
They did beat
Florida.
They did beat Virginia Tech.
Mm-hmm.
Beat South Carolina.
Okay.
Auburn was ranked 18th. Alabama was 17th.
Mm-hmm. They beat Tim Tebow in Florida.
And they beat Tennessee by a touchdown in the SEC title game.
Yeah. So, I mean, those are some good wins. And look at Kansas' schedule. They played nobody the whole year, I promise you, because the Big 12 was garbage, still is. But outside of that, it's hilarious that this is happening in the first year of the 12-team playoff. Now, again, let me reiterate, it's not going to happen. This is not going to be an actual issue. Notre Dame will take care of both these teams for the committee, so they don't have to deal with this. But in the off chance they don't, and Army and Navy hand Notre Dame losses, which would be an absolute death sentence to Marcus Freeman, by the way, they never thought Army and Navy would even be in the conversation when they designed this. So they're like, the Army-Navy game is outside, is after we select the playoffs. Who cares? We're never going to have to think about them in the playoffs. In the very first year, if they both are in the conversation, it's like, dude, come on. You gotta play all the games before. It's like selecting the Heisman before the conference championship or something. Like, you gotta at least let the games play out and see who the best teams are.
Well, where I'm at on it, I think it's a wait and see. with the way things have gone this college football season, like coming up this week, Tennessee plays Alabama, right? If let's say randomly you told me Tennessee blows out Alabama or Alabama blows out Tennessee, I wouldn't be shocked just by the way things have gone this year. Some people call it parity, some people call it watered down. Army Navy, I think before we pass too much judgment, I'm gonna wait and see. I know it's a service academy, and it's Notre Dame hasn't lost to Navy in a long time, or Army.
I've seen them do it, so it's not impossible. But
it's not impossible.
We're only through week 7, guys. Like there's an entire 7 more weeks. Let's worry about this when we get there. It is a fun topic to discuss because it's wild to think about. I mean, if it happens, that would be insane. And the committee and the CFP would have to think about changing when they do Selection Sunday, because I mean, that's not really fair. Like the team that loses the championship game is automatically out, even though they could avenge that loss a week later. And the other one somehow, that's the other thing. How do you have a conference game the week after your conference championship?
Well,
and I understand it's the Army Navy game, so there's history and everything like that, but like they're both in a conference now. They used to not be.
Yeah,
they're in the same conference, so it's a conference game. You can't have a conference game after you've already declared the champion.
Well, it's because the schedulers, how the last week of the season it was, like Zach says here, because for years it was the last game of the year of the regular season.
That was when they were independent,
and they would play it, right before. I think it was like week 16, because they would have like a couple straggler games in 15. And then Army and Navy would play, and it would be the only game on, which I don't have an issue with that at all.
No, I don't either. But they were independent schools. They didn't have conference affiliations. Now they do. They're both part of the same conference. If they were in different conferences, I wouldn't care as much. But like, you got to either move the American Conference game to the week after, which I don't know how you do that, but I don't know. You gotta figure it out, because if this comes down and this is actually how it plays out, I don't know how that's not a sustainable way of doing things going forward. You have to change something. And I mean, we're already talking about Ohio State, Michigan being played in October. So like traditions change when money gets so big that it changes it.
Well, and I just can't imagine moving that game to October.
I can't either, but they might do it.
Well, we'll have to have a chat off air about this, because I have my own reservations. And
no, I agree. I completely. I think it would be bullshit. I think it would be awful. But when you're owned by media companies that don't give a shit, they're going to do whatever they want. And if Fox, NBC come to the Big Ten and say, hey, we don't want Ohio State, Michigan on the weekend after Thanksgiving. We want it on the last weekend of October, because they're going to play again in the Big Ten title game 6 weeks later. And if you don't do it, we're not going to give you any more money. And then the Big Ten goes, sorry.
I think the Blue Hairs would just absolutely freak out, wouldn't they?
Oh, absolutely. But what do you mean? They freaked out about everything that's happened so far. It used to be blasphemous to have a night game at Ohio Stadium. Now it happens a couple times a year. It used to be just absolutely ridiculous to consider that Ohio State would play a Friday night game. Guess what? It's about to happen. It used to be absurd to think that an Ohio State game wouldn't be on local television. They play 2 Peacock games a year. Like, everything happens eventually when the money is as big as it is. Like, sorry, I don't care how old school you are. When the money's there, they're going to do whatever they have to do to get the money. They're in a business. It's a business now. It's no longer just a fun game for people to watch. It's a business. It makes billions of dollars. You're going to do what you have to do.
Remember the first year they wore alternates? I think that
my God.
was what was that, like Trestle's last year or second to last year?
Yeah, something like that. But yeah,
they wore the throwback alternates, and like I had some family members have an absolute.
What are you talking about? Cow. Do you remember the first time they moved the Ohio State Michigan game from noon to 3:30?
Oh yeah.
You would have thought people were killing children.
It was.
What are you talking about?
I think that game should be played at 3:30 anyway.
No, it should be a noon game. It's beautiful where it is. I don't want it to change. But if they want it at 3:30, I don't care. I've had people tell me it should be a 7:30 kick.
No. 3:30.
But regardless, the money dictates all of it. So if Army and Navy want to keep getting that conference money, that might have to change.
Well, also on the flip side of it, the American does not have any leg to stand on when it comes to rocking the boat with teams, because every single one of their good teams that they've had has left their conference.
Yeah.
So
it's not like they're in the Big Ten or SEC. I get that.
So if I am the American, you guys want to play that game whenever? Okay. I'm not going to argue with you.
Right. We're just happy you're here.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I get that.
It's like what was that dude Dax Shepard? That movie where they're on the radio, bang a couple 4 and 5s. Look at the gratitude on their face. See?
Exactly. Oh man. All right, inning 1. Alex Cobb got out of a jam. No earned runs, couple hits. Here we go. Let's go Tribe. But switching it up here, speaking of major disappointments and no legs to stand on, the 2021 NFL quarterback class very well might be the worst draft class of all time. I'm going to put this up here. I mean, it's rough. It's not good. It's not good at all. Obviously, 3 of the 5 are not even starters anymore. One of the 5 was never a starter, I don't think.
Trey Lance stinks.
Yeah, I don't think he ever was a starter, except for maybe when Brock Purdy was injured for a couple games. I have no idea.
No, actually, 2 years ago, Trey Lance, one of the first games he started was when they played Chicago in Chicago, and it was a massive downpour.
Was that with Dallas? He was with Dallas?
No, he was with San Fran, and that's when he broke his ankle when he was out.
Oh, so that had to have been way more than 2 years ago, because he's been with Dallas. God damn it, Justin about to steal Sierra from Russ. Man, I don't know if you want to steal Sierra. I've heard she has a dick, but yeah, obviously Trevor Lawrence and Justin Fields are the 2 best ones on this list. Neither one has been exceptional. Justin Fields got a raw deal in Chicago. I understand that. Trevor Lawrence, though, they just paid that man, what, $50 million a year?
Well, okay. The thing of it is, when it comes down to the T-Law stuff in Jacksonville, he's gotten worse. Like he hasn't gotten better.
He's gotten a lot worse.
I think that, them having Doug Peterson there. Doug Peterson was supposed to be the quarterback guy. They're on the skids now. The Mormon MILF hunter, Zach Wilson, I don't know what he can be, just for the simple fact of he was with the Jets, no infrastructure. Robert Saleh obviously fired, changing OCs. I think the
he's
verdict
still trash.
I think the verdict's out on the Mormon MILF hunter. just
Oh
for
no,
the
the verdict's already been delivered, bud. He's trash. He probably never starts in this league again.
I don't know. A lot of people
He's
said a lot
Josh
of
Rosen.
no, a lot of people said a lot of things about Sam Darnold, and he's sitting on top of the NFC North at 5-0.
Oh, I understand that, but he's not built
So,
like Sam Rosen either.
well, the reason why is because when you have no continuity on offense whatsoever, and you're drafting these kids so young, what Sam
Uh-huh.
Darnold have in his first couple of years, he had like a new OC every year, and then he was at Carolina.
Something like that, yeah.
It's kind of wild that Shanahan got rid of him, Matt Rule got rid of him, and Moneyball GM and the guy up in Minnesota are 5-0 with him. So what the hell were you doing, Matt Rule? What the hell were you doing?
Well, to give Matt Rule a little bit of grace here.
Oh, I'm just blowing
I
some
know,
shit
but
there.
the roster in Carolina is not the same as the roster in Minnesota. Minnesota's roster is really good. They have a really good defense that is exceptional, like a top 10 defense in the NFL. Decent O-line, Justin Jefferson at wide receiver, Andrew Jones at running back, I believe. And so, like, it's a totally different roster. So Carolina gets a pass. The Jets completely fumbled it all. They had every opportunity to build a roster around him, never did it, just like Chicago did with Fields.
Yeah.
The difference is with Trevor Lawrence is he's been the starter since day one, and they've built a roster around him that has gotten to the playoffs, that has done successful things, and he has just sucked.
Yeah, and he's also a turnover machine.
Yeah.
And
well, yeah, the playoff, he has one playoff win, I believe, and he threw like 4 picks in the first half, and then everybody gave him credit for coming back. And it's like, dude, the reason they were down by 28 is because he threw 4 interceptions in the first half. You're goddamn right, he better lead them back.
When you look at that graphic, you also have Justin Fields up there, and I don't think
No.
I think Justin Fields can play quarterback in the NFL. A lot of people, will say I'm crazy, but I don't think
I think this year he's shown that he's capable.
I don't think he's had any infrastructure, and in Pittsburgh, he's still not having any wideouts. I mean, George Pickens, yeah, but which I think the Steelers are going to get rid of him in the offseason if he keeps up his attitude.
Well, to be fair, the receivers aren't notorious for having great receivers.
Well,
I mean, they draft well usually. That's what they do, right? They drafted Mike Williams. He turned out to be good, and then they didn't pay him. They drafted Antonio Brown. He turned out good. They didn't pay him. They drafted Hines Ward. He was there his whole career. They drafted Juju Smith-Schuster, who had a couple good years and then started TikToking and has a resurgence with Kansas City now. They draft Chase Claypool. He has 1 year. Turns out to be a complete head case. They draft George Pickens. He has 1 good year. It turns out to be a total head case. Like, their track record of receivers isn't having top-end receivers very often. Like, Antonio Brown's the best receiver they've ever had by far.
Well, they had AB. They had Mike Wallace.
Mike Wallace, not Williams. That's what I meant.
Manny Sanders. They've drafted good receivers, Martavius Bryant. They've drafted good guys. It's just the fact that they've turned out to be head cases, and Tomlin.
Well, and they don't keep them after they develop.
And Tomlin put up a lot with AB, but it was AB. And then when the other guys started getting out of line, like they shipped Juju, they shipped a lot of guys out of there.
Yeah.
And the big thing is that this is just something that I know for a fact because I have friends that live in Pittsburgh. As long as you're winning, the media won't write anything bad about you.
Mm-hmm.
But as soon as they drop a nugget that they're trading you, they'll trash you in the media. That's how it always goes. That's how it always goes. And it's just funny because even though I am a Steelers fan, it is just funny that, Ben Roethlisberger brought 2 championships to that crap town, and they still talk about, Ben, and they still dump on Ben, and I don't understand it. It makes zero sense to me. And then the people we draft, Kenny Pickett, I think he's going to be great, and that dude was throwing a bunch of worm burners. Where's Kenny Pickett at? He is in the band of misfit toys in the land of trash that is Philadelphia. Philadelphia stinks.
So I can tell you why that is. Outside of just the media being the media, Ben Roethlisberger is a really, really unlikable dude. I mean, people hate him. Like, people that have known him for a long time really don't like him. Just because he's an arrogant kind of douchebag. And so the media got sick of him, and because he's just a douche. And so I don't care you won 2 Super Bowls, you're still a douchebag.
Well, the thing of it is that in Pittsburgh, you got to make sure Ed Bouchette likes you and Mark Madden, which Ed Bouchette is probably the #1 red columnist, and Mark Madden is #1 in their sports talk media. No one listens to the fan, contrary to belief. The people that only listen to the fan in Pittsburgh or Adam Crowley don't like Mark Madden, because the fan is also owned. The reason why the fan never gets in trouble is that they're owned by Bob Nutting. That is also another part of it. That's why the Pirates get a huge pass, because they're the flagship. He owns the flagship radio station. That's why you never see anything bad ever said about the Pirates.
No, the Pirates are also just kind of irrelevant. Nobody really cares.
But
yeah,
anyway,
no, I know what you mean. But anyways.
But yeah, so I think the verdict's still out on Fields myself. It's just
I agree. I just that entire class. I mean, the #1 guy taken was Trevor Lawrence. #2 was Trey Lance.
Yeah, and then also when it comes to the Mac Jones thing, Coach JB put it out on his show that when Billy O was there, that Mac Jones was complaining to his agent that Billy O was yelling at him. So
yeah, he's soft as fuck.
So
could have told you that before you drafted him.
I don't know. I look at that list from top to bottom. Do we really have a clear-cut #1 guy? I would say Fields has been the most successful.
Well, you can't say that just because Trevor's won a playoff game and actually been there. So Trevor Lawrence is the most successful. It's just he's also the highest drafted, highest paid, and his success doesn't match what he was drafted as. I mean, he was the second coming of Christ. Everybody said he's Andrew Luck, he's Peyton Manning. Like, he's not either one of those guys, clearly. So you have to put him on a different level of scrutiny than everybody else because of the amount of lore behind him when he was drafted. But yeah, out of the 5, he's been the most successful. He has the most wins. He has playoff experience. He's won a playoff game. Nobody else on that list can say that. So Trevor Lawrence is the most successful of that list. It's a very bad list to compare yourself to. But he's also making $50 million a year and isn't going to sniff the playoffs anytime soon.
Yep, that is a...
Meanwhile, Justin Fields is potentially on a playoff team this year.
Okay, timeout. Is the one that we watch every Sunday, whenever that particular team plays, they show this guy's girlfriend. Are they at the Yankee game right now? Because I think they just showed him on TV.
Yeah, they just showed him. Yeah.
Who cares?
They are.
Like, it's like, dude, like, I know we're having a deep discussion about quarterbacks, but I just look over at my TV like, why do I care? I don't give a shit.
I do. I mean, good for them. Get a night out. and oh, here you go. There you go. He's right. Kelsey's from Cleveland, man.
Well, she's not.
Well, she's supporting her man, as she should. And then she better get in the kitchen afterwards and make Daddy a sandwich.
Yeah, I don't think she's making sandwiches for Mr. Pfizer. I bet it's the other way around.
Anyways, let's get to some college football. We'll discuss this while this game continues to go on. Bottom of the second, no outs, nobody on. Taylor
Look
Swift
here.
is a man, Richie says. Okay. I mean, I can't confirm nor deny this. I don't have any experience that would let me know, but if it happens, I'll be sure to confirm or deny. She's fucking Taylor Swift. She's not making sure. That's true. That's fair. But she better tell the cook to make Daddy a sandwich. And if you haven't seen that clip, I forget the actor's name. He's the dude that plays Captain America now. He has a good clip. You know what I'm talking about? The black dude?
Yeah.
Yeah. It's a funny clip.
what is that guy's?
I couldn't tell you, man. I'm
Anthony Owens, maybe, because he was in Pain and Gain with Mark Wahlberg, a really underrated movie with The Rock.
Anthony something. No, it's not Chris Evans. Fuck. God damn it, Richie. Anthony Mackie. That's who it is.
Yeah, Anthony Mackie. He was in Pain
Chris
and Gain.
Evans. Like, I don't know who Chris Evans is. That's white Captain America. We have a new one now.
Oh, yes, Richie got it right. We're on a little bit of a delay.
Yeah. But anyways, let's get to some college football. Big weekend in college football, man. Huge weekend.
Rip off the Band-Aid.
We got to lead with it. Got to start with it. Oregon upsets the Ohio State Buckeyes 32-31. Initial thoughts, just let it rip.
All right, when I see this, I think that Ohio State was up against it. Also, my uncle did call me, was freaking out because they were wearing white pants. Why are we always changing the uniform?
It was the white pants, man. That's what did them.
He also watches Barton on Buckeye Scoop, and he'll call me up and say, why is this Barton guy always talking about kicking it? What are we kicking here? We're not kicking anything. So, I don't know, because my brain is kind of NFL trained for this. I don't think that this is there's deep issues. The Denzel Burke stuff, that is a problem. Now, as far as the end of the game, the 1 second, Dan Lanning ran some time off the clock. He knew what he was doing. It's one of those that, is it dirty? No, because he was within the confines of the rules. People get upset when Belichick did that when they played the Bengals one year when they were vying for playoff position. He threw the challenge flag when he knew he couldn't. I believe it was either Belichick or Marvin Lewis did it. And that's called having a rules analyst on your staff that says, how can we take time off the clock without committing a dead ball foul? And he probably knew.
Yeah. Well, yeah, Belichick's done it with the 12-man as well. He put 12 men out there purposely, and then Vrabel turned around and did it against Belichick. So it's happened multiple times. It's not a new thing.
So here's my initial. Ohio State played a big game. Ohio State played a big game on the road in a loud environment and loses by 1 point because Dan Lanning decided to go for 2 once and get it. That is, Oregon went for 2 once and got it.
I don't remember that. I'll have to look.
Yeah, I think it was in the first quarter, but Oregon had gone for 2 and got it in the first half.
No, they went for 2 twice and failed both times.
Well, where did they? Well, they made up points somewhere.
Yeah. Well, yeah, because they had their first touchdown. They had a extra point that they had a bad snap, and so they threw it up. And then their second touchdown, they went for 2 to try to make up for that, and they didn't get it. So they were down 14-12. And then they kicked a field goal, which made up for that. They kicked a field goal to make up for that. So that's how they were 1 point ahead. They kicked 2 field goals in the game.
I thought they
didn't go for 2 and get it.
I was also deep into like 3 other games as well.
Yeah, no, you're good. You're good. I just, you said that and I was like, no, I thought they didn't get it, which they did not. But anyways,
I seen the quote unquote Buckeye fallout. I don't. Here's the deal where my brain is trained. 1 loss, not really that big of a deal because it's a good loss.
Mm-hmm.
Now, if you would have told me Ohio State loses by 1 at Minnesota, I'd be like, it's still a road Big Ten game, but it's just not. That's not good. I think 1 loss is safe. You're still on track to accomplish everything you need to. Now, 2 losses is where it gets interesting. 2 losses, you're hitting red alert. You may not make the conference championship game. And 3 losses, you're completely done. It's cooked. It's fried. You are getting sent to the island of misfit toys at that point.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
I mean, when you look at it, I'll break down how I look at this game because I agree with a lot of what Zach's saying. I'll put it up real quick. 1 point loss in Eugene. Big Ten teams 3-13 traveling west. I agree. When you look at it, Ohio State fans, especially if you're an Ohio State fan that thinks like the world is ending and we need to fire everybody, settle down. Okay. First of all, the major questions going into this year were on the offensive line, which I think the offensive line overall played pretty well.
Simmons is out for the year.
Yeah, Simmons is out for the year. That's a big loss. And so we'll see what the offensive line can be going forward. But if you pay attention to college football, specifically look at Notre Dame. They've had 3 offensive linemen go down, 2 of them for the year. It happens. You have to be able to replace those guys. And so it is on Fry to get the next guy ready. And I have no doubt that he will be able to do that. The next guy is going to be fine. He might not be as good as Simmons. That's a lot to ask. That was a potential All-American or All-Big Ten player. Going to be hard to replace. But you can scheme and you can do things to make the left tackle's job easier. So just do that and put a guy in there that has the skill set to play, get him ready to play, and then scheme your offense around knowing that, hey, we don't have a lockdown left tackle. We need to give him a little bit of help. That's it. Shouldn't be that hard. Real easy for somebody as experienced as Chip Kelly and Justin Fry to do. Should be not a problem. So offensive line, major question mark coming into the year. Looks pretty good so far. Obviously, loss of Simmons, big loss. Number 2, can Will Howard be the whole preseason, everybody talking about Ohio State was saying he doesn't have to be this game-wrecking, a phenomenal quarterback. He's just got to be good enough. And he was more than good enough in that game. His stats, everything you look at him, he was exceptional for the most part. Now, he missed a couple throws. His deep ball is never going to be beautiful. So just accept that. He underthrew Jeremiah Smith and Jeremiah Smith made a great catch on a deep ball, but his deep ball efficiency is pretty good. It's just not perfectly placed all the time. He has really good receivers. It helps. But Will Howard was more than good enough to win that game. You didn't lose that game because of Will Howard.
Right. Here's a comment that I wanted to highlight. Zach here, what are your boys' thoughts on taking a good L in October? Winning 16-17 is something NFL teams can't even do. 12-team landscape is different. Yes, I agree. That's why I think that this is not something for fans to freak out. Now, the Denzel Burke stuff, I'm not going to pile on the kid.
I don't even think that's an issue.
I don't think it is either. I think
because if you watched it, I watched the film breakdown today, and when you watch it, he got burnt on 2 or 3 routes, and they were mostly, I think it was 2 double moves by Tez Johnson, and it's just that's a schematic thing. He's getting burned. He's not playing press man. He's playing off man. And so he's 10, 12 yards deep. Tez runs a little slant and go. So he jumps the slant, and then he just doesn't have the top end speed to recover. So that's just a thing that he has to work on, where he doesn't jump the slant route. And that's going to lead to a lot of slants that are caught for 10, 12 yards. Either way, it's not great.
Well, also, Carter, Ohio State gave up a lot of free access going into the game. I watched the film too, and I think that they had something up their sleeve for Denzel, because him and Iggy are very aggressive. They do jump a lot of routes. So how do you stop
if you notice, IGB wasn't playing off.
No, he was.
You know how you stop double moves? Play press man.
Yeah.
Because then you don't have to jump the route. You're already on it, and then you can run with him. But I think Denzel just is a little too slow to do that against Tez. And so he was trying to play off on Tez Johnson so that he didn't get burned. And it ended up burning him because of double moves and things like that. But that's a schematic thing. That's something where the coaches need to recognize that and make adjustments. Either give him help over top with a safety help, but you have your safeties down there playing so close to the line of scrimmage, they're not giving safety help. You're not getting pressure. And it's not like Gabriel was extending plays and Denzel was getting burnt because he had to cover for an exceptionally long period of time. Most of those throws were a 3-second throw, where it's 1, 2, 3 throw. And but you're still not getting pressure on them. And if you're not getting pressure and you're not helping out the corners, I don't know what you're doing.
Right. It's whenever you have a big game like this, it's such a finite detail that everything's under the microscope. Everything gets ridiculed. Everything is what it is. And is it really, you went up against a top 5 opponent on the road?
No, it's in all realistic, like, take your scarlet covered glasses off. It's a good loss.
And
like, I know there's no such thing as a good loss, but that's a good loss. Like, you lost by 1 point on the road against the number 3 team in the country.
Also,
okay.
The other side of the coin that I have is how about, instead of playing Marshall, Western Michigan, Akron in the first couple weeks, how about we go out and schedule another group of 4 team?
Well, you know why that happened this year, though.
It just, you would think
that only happened because of conference realignment. They had other Power 5 teams scheduled, but they all joined the Big Ten.
Yeah,
so you can't play them.
Just
like, I don't care about that. That had nothing to do with the game, because they were more than ready for the game. So it's not like they got into their first big matchup and they couldn't handle the pressure. They handled it fine. The thing that hurt them was, the defense let them down a bunch. The defense was not up to par. D-line didn't play exceptional. Linebackers missed tackles, everything like that. That was a problem. But outside of that was just unforced errors. They lost the turnover battle with that fumble. And it says 1-0, but the onside kick that is a turnover in my opinion as well. And then they missed 11 tackles, which isn't terrible, but it's not great. Well, and so you just got to be better than that, and they'll learn from it.
I think that, a bad outing in a subpar performance is something that, they got to learn from. I agree with Zach's comment there about the tackling, because nobody tackles anymore in practice.
No, they don't tackle in practice. They don't tackle. I mean, you look at Denzel got burned on that one play and wrapped him up at the 25. And instead of just tackling him, rode him and tried to rip the ball out for 16 more yards. He got down to the 9. Like, just fucking tackle the guy. That's one thing. Tackling was an issue. And that goes back to coaching. That goes back to Jim Knowles and Larry Johnson and Tim Walton, all those guys. Like, they got to be better.
I'm not getting on LJ's case on this because I don't think this has anything to do with LJ.
Well, the defensive line wasn't good, so I think it definitely has something to do with them.
I think it's scheme.
Well, that goes to an argument that nobody knows the answer to. Whose scheme is it?
That's what I'm saying, because you can't tell me that Jack Sawyer and JTT can't rush the passer because they can do it.
I don't know what gives you the thought that they can, but okay.
I think JTT, I don't know.
I've seen him play for 3 years. I've never seen him be good at it.
I don't know. Jack Sawyer played really good against Missouri. I mean, he had 3 sacks.
Against Missouri.
And I just think the cage rushing I'm not a big fan of, but whatever.
No, but again, that goes back to a conversation about who is the reason that's the problem. Because this is a scheme I've never seen Jim Knowles go with. So is somebody dictating that to him, or did he change his entire philosophy on defense when he got hired? I find that hard to believe. The other thing is, why do we not rotate more? The defensive line was completely spent at the end of the game, like completely burned. And you have Caden Curry and all those backup defensive linemen that played a maximum of 12 plays the entire game. Why are they not rotating more?
I
don't know. I don't know who it is. I don't know if it's Knowles or Larry Johnson, but I can't put blame on one or the other until I know. So I'm putting blame on both.
Something with the defense stinks, and I don't get it, because the defensive lines have been phenomenal all the way up until 2 years ago?
No, up until 5-6 years ago, yeah.
Until the last Bosa's left? Chase Young?
No, Chase Young. Yeah, Chase Young was the last really good defensive lineman we've had, or they've had. And that coincides with Jeff Hafley leaving. And then as soon as Jeff Hafley left, we had Kerry Combs, and then, it's been a mess. And I don't know if it's the defensive coordinator dictating what the defensive line does, or if it's the defense coordinator wanting to change what the defensive line does and Larry Johnson saying, no, this is what I want to do. I don't know what it is. All I know is for about the past, since 2019, since that year, the defensive line has not been as good, specifically on the defensive end position. Defensive tackle has been phenomenal. Run stopping has been good, but other than the Michigan games. But overall, they've had good defensive lines. They just can't get to the quarterback. They don't get sacks ever.
And it's just like it's.
Could that have been the defensive coordinators before were helping Larry Johnson by running a different scheme? I don't know. But what I do know is what we've been doing for the past 5 years hasn't been working in the pass rush game.
Because to me, it just seems like they're only just they're using the ends as contain guys.
I mean, maybe.
I don't know. I don't know
about that. But either way, but you can't expect to have a Joey Nick Bosa every year. I get that. I'm not asking for that. I'd like to have a Sam Hubbard every now and then.
Yeah.
But here you go. This is what happened. Yeah, Knowles did go all after Michigan that game, and he got cooked. He challenged J.J. McCarthy to beat him in the throw game, and he did. He beat him, and that's what happened. Now, if they had the signs and knew what was coming and that helped, I don't know. But neither here nor there. At the end of the day, they had a chance to win the game. I think coaching played a huge role in all of it, and they mismanaged the clock, and they mismanaged everything. That offensive PI call was soft, but I understand why it was called. Regardless, that's what happened. Oregon beat Ohio State, so Ohio State backs against the wall now. They got Penn State in a couple weeks. Got to win. Got to get a big win in Happy Valley to get this thing back on the rails.
Speaking of Happy Valley,
this game.
Moving on, Penn State outlasts USC Lincoln Riley takes not an ideal loss.
He did what he. That was the game of who's going to blow it.
Yeah, that was
Franklin tried his best to blow it. Let me tell you, he really did. He wanted to blow that game so bad, and they just were more talented, and they couldn't blow it. And Lincoln Riley was like, "Not so fast, my friend. I'm really good at this."
Yeah, it was the game of who's going to blow chunks first.
Yep.
Moving on to another fan base that their computers and phones and internet is melting. Alabama sneaks out with the 2-point win.
Man, that one. Woo, buddy.
I think Tennessee is going to get right against Alabama.
We'll see. That's another game that was wild. But yeah, I mean, Tennessee jumped out to a 14-0 lead in the second quarter, and I thought, okay, Alabama's fixed. They're fixing stuff. But this SC team, this USC team, South Carolina, just doesn't go away. And so they didn't go away, and they end up taking the lead 19-14 in the third. And then, they end up going down by 8 late in the fourth, and then they score. They score a touchdown and go for 2 and don't get it to tie it up. So, I mean, Alabama got the win. That was the important thing for them, obviously. Wasn't pretty. But they're not dead. I mean, Milroe still has a chance to right his wrongs from the Vandy game. They gave Georgia a loss, which is huge in the head-to-head battle if they get down to the end of the year with 1 loss each. But yeah, that was a nail biter in Tuscaloosa.
Mm-hmm.
And then Tennessee, who plays Alabama this week, they almost lose to the dead man walking himself, Billy Napier.
That dead man walking Billy Napier is coaching those guys up.
He's trying his best. I mean, he's giving it his all. Unfortunately, he's got Kentucky coming up, and then he runs through the gauntlet of just absolute L after L.
We'll see.
Oh shit.
Tennessee's has some issues on offense, and for 2 weeks in a row, they were shut out in the first quarter, or not the first quarter, the first half of both
Tennessee.
games. Yes, Arkansas shut them out, and Florida shut them out. So I think Heupel's going to go back and bless you. He's going to go back and he's going to recalibrate, reevaluate, and I think he's going to have something cooked up for Kane Womack in the Alabama Crimson Tide.
Yeah, but I thought the same thing this week. I thought he was going to go back, recalibrate, do all that shit for Florida. And he couldn't score in the first half and only put up 23 points the whole game.
The thing with Florida is that Florida has his number. Because Heupel is either at 500 or has a losing record against Florida.
Well, Florida's had Tennessee's number for like 70 years, so
I'm just saying, when you're the head coach at Tennessee, you have to beat Florida. You got to beat Florida, you got to beat Georgia, and you got to beat Alabama. That is the expectation.
Yep. I mean, we'll see this week. It'll be interesting. We'll break down that game later this week, but it'll be a fun one. Is that one in Tennessee?
Yes. It's at Rocky Top.
Okay.
At night.
Good old Rocky Top.
Ooh. Or no, not at night, 3:30.
I don't know if you saw it. I didn't put it in because I think it was put out by ESPN and I don't want to get another copyright. But did you see the entrance and light show at Neyland Stadium?
That's awesome.
It's fucking incredible, man.
It's
awesome.
I
saw they over on Menace today, they played LSU's like light show from when they play Baton Rouge by Garth Brooks. Bro, what is the North doing?
I don't know.
Why do we not do shit like that?
Talk to Ross Bjork.
It's ridiculous. I don't understand it. Like that shit's fun.
I
don't get it.
Like, it's bad when like you're on the same wavelength as Notre Dame when it comes to game day experience. And
Hey, let's settle down on the Notre Dame, mate. Jeez, Notre Dame has a great game day experience.
I'm just saying that it's like it's a totally different thing, and like they show like, you know, South Carolina doing the sandstorm thing, and like they were like 4-7 when that is going on. It's a packed house and people are going nuts for a 4-7 football team. It's like you look at Ohio State. Ohio State loses one game and people are thinking about canceling their NIL. What do we know?
This is why Zach said it. Yeah, it's because it's all old people.
That is a good point. That is a fair.
Sorry, if you're old and you watch our show, I'm sorry. I'm sure you're really fun. But you just let the young people have fun, and more people will show up, and it'll be awesome. Like, just ignore it. It's not a big deal. Like, the lights flash. It's cool.
The blue
might disorient you a little bit, but
the Blue Hairs have had a lot of big control at Ohio State for a long time.
Yeah,
and like, because nobody ever gets out of Columbus to experience another game day atmosphere, so no one knows what's out there. Even Clemson.
I agree. We love you, Richie's grandma. If you go to an Ohio State game and lights are flashing and stuff, you'll be okay, I promise.
Like, what's the big thing they do at Ohio State that's like, hang on, Sloopy?
I mean, the entrance, I guess.
Outside of that, like, Alabama, like, do you look
Ohio at halftime? I don't know. Like, they play the white stripes on third down. Does that count?
Well, go like look at the in between the TV timeouts at Alabama compared to what we're doing at Ohio State. Like,
yeah, I know, that's what I'm saying. But staying in the Southeastern Conference, did you end up watching this game after the Ohio State game, or at least a little bit of it? The Ole Miss LSU game.
Oh yeah, I was locked in, and you know how great YouTube TV is. On the final drive of the game, the LSU gets the ball, they go out there, Nussmeier's in the shotgun pointing, shucking, jiving. He's doing his thing. Bang, Seinfeld interrupts.
Wait, what?
Yes. The beginning of Seinfeld starts, and I'm like, okay, this isn't a big deal. So like it cuts back to Nussmeier, he's pointing again, and then it's the don't the Seinfeld song at the restaurant. Like, it starts over again. I'm like, what are we doing here? And then
I didn't have that problem.
And then Nussmeier claps his hands, ball hikes. Seinfeld again.
Hey man.
And I'm like,
it's a good show.
I'm like, what the hell is going on? And then so after that happens, Nussmeier pass in the air towards the end zone. I'm like, oh, he's going for it. Don't. It's Seinfeld again. So after that happens, you just hear, oh my gosh, I've never seen that before. Seinfeld again. So I have no idea what in the hell happened until I watched it on replay.
It was beautiful. It was a great throw by Nussmeier. Got him in, and then they go to OT. Ole Miss shits the bed in OT. I mean, absolutely shits the bed. You are automatically guaranteed a 52-yard field goal to start overtime. Or no, a 42-yard field goal to start overtime. Like that, you start at the 25. If you don't gain a yard, you're kicking a 42-yarder. They kicked a 57-yard field goal to start overtime.
Here's another side note, because I've watched every Ole Miss game there, and got a friend that covers it. they've had major issues in the kicking game. Major.
Well, Caden Davis drilled a 57-yarder in overtime, so they fixed that issue.
So I think him hitting that field goal was good.
It's great until you just give up a 25-yard pass for a touchdown on play 2 or whatever. It might have been play 1.
Yeah,
and then LSU wins the game.
Yeah, Ole Miss is.
I thought LSU was going to win. I couldn't care less about that game. I don't like either coach that much, but I fucking hate Brian Kelly. So, yeah, whatever. It was what it was. It was a great game, though.
It was.
Hold on. I got corrected by both Richie and Zach. It is on third down at Ohio Stadium, not the white stripes. They do the white stripes some other time where everybody's like, oh.
Well,
I don't know what that is, but they do that shit. All right.
It's really bad whenever like Torg complains about the game day experience, and Torg is like, he's getting close to a blue hair. And no offense, Torg, but Torg was talking about that a couple days ago on OVE. He's like, can we just like maybe upgrade the game day experience? And like, Torg's he's on the other side of the coin now. And that's pretty telling when somebody of that age and that magnitude is saying, it's just that's what it is. But
anyways, let's get into some Notre Dame talk. We've talked about everybody else. We'll finish it up with some Notre Dame discussion. Honestly, not a lot to talk about. What?
You're leaving out the Kansas State scare?
Yeah, I don't give a fuck. Honestly, I don't care about Colorado or Kansas State. We can just skip that one. But yeah, Kansas State beat Colorado. It was close. Good job, Colorado. You almost won the game. That's awesome. You're still a joke.
Garrett Wilson touchdown.
That's cool. I'm watching the fucking Indians. They're losing 1-0. Bases loaded.
I got multi-view up. I just
figured shit. Fucking shit.
Ooh, that's why you got to get
they brought Cantillo in, and he fucking throws a bad pitch, and fucking Aaron Judge steals home plate. Like, come on, man. All right, that's okay.
All right.
Still early. Anyways, Notre Dame. Really not a lot to talk about here. It was kind of what I thought it was going to be. Duke can apologize to all the Notre Dame fans now, though. Because go ahead. Say you're sorry.
I never apologized, but I'm just going to say this. Stanford wasn't who we thought they were.
No, Stanford wasn't who you thought they were.
Yeah, so, I mean, we pulled off the mask and realized that, like, you're Michigan. So,
yeah. Okay, I just want to make sure that that's out there.
No concept of a forward pass.
No. But ultimately, Notre Dame did pretty much what I thought they would do, which is they played really good defense. They shut them down. Now, early in the game, I mean, the whole first quarter was tight, and it was a little nervy. Obviously, Stanford jumps out to a 7-0 lead, and I was a little worried. That was over halfway through the first half. Notre Dame ties it up at the end of halfway through the first quarter, sorry. And that was Notre Dame ties it up at the end of the first quarter, and then Notre Dame just took over. They did what they should do. Riley Leonard played a good game. Again, not much down the field, not much impressive quarterback play, but he was efficient. He was 16 of 22 for 229 through 3 touchdown passes. Longest one was 15 yards. Yeah. So not big plays or anything like that. Most of the touchdown passes were little, 5-yarders and stuff like that. But he looked good. I mean, he looked like an efficient quarterback doing what he's being asked to do, which isn't very much. And then they ran the ball decent. They ended up rushing for something like 200 some yards. And Jeremiah Love, the thing is they used a whole host of different running backs and different, obviously at the end of the game, they had backups in and things like that. But Jeremiah Love led the team in rushing with 6 carries for 53 yards.
I if it was up to me, I would be giving Jeremiah Love the ball 25, 30 times a game, but that's just me.
Yeah, this game didn't call for that.
Oh, no. Another wild pitch.
Don't tell me that. What are we doing? We had one job.
So
Jesus, that was they just showed it.
It's
gonna get ugly today. All right, well, better luck in game 2, Tribe. But
yeah.
But yeah, Jeremiah Love is an absolute dude. Got to get that guy the ball. Obviously, this game didn't dictate that happening. So whatever. Bo Collins, 4 catches for 85 yards. Good. I mean, that's a good day. He's going up against a real bad pass defense. I wasn't shocked by that. Still no explosive plays or anything like that. But overall, Notre Dame looked good. They looked like what I thought they should look like, which is a top 10 team that is playing an inferior opponent. They leaned on the defense. The defense shut them down. They ran the ball efficiently. Riley Leonard was efficient in the pass game, and I just still have not seen him be explosive in the passing game, which is fine as long as you're not playing a good team. And so, good. It was a great win for Notre Dame.
It was a total team win. It's one of those things that you got the win, played well at home.
Mm-hmm.
Now we go on the road and you're going to see the Ramblin' Wreck, and the Ramblin' Wreck can move people up front.
Yeah, and we'll break that game down later this week for sure. But it's going to be another game where they're going to have to utilize. They're going to have to lean on the defense again. And here's the issue now. They've had serious injuries on both sides of the ball all year long. Obviously, they're missing 2 of their best offensive linemen for the year. They're missing their 2 edge rushers that have been, the starting and backup edge rusher got hurt for the year. And now you lost the best player on the team. I mean, by far the best player, the top draft pick, the stud that was up there with Will Johnson for the best corner in America with Travis Hunter, Will Johnson. Benjamin Morrison underwent hip surgery. He's done for the year. And they're already thin at corner because of injuries and transfers. So obviously, I forget his name right now, but transferred out, said he was sitting out the rest of the year to use a red shirt.
Jaden Mickey.
Yeah, Jaden Mickey. And so Benjamin Morrison goes down. Can he take his name out of the transfer portal?
I don't think so.
Yeah, can he be like, never mind, now I'll play? Because he could be a starter.
I don't think we can do reversies.
No takesies, backsies? Come on.
Yeah, so.
But yeah, I mean, that's a huge injury to a depleted room. And it's going to be tough. I mean, we're going to see a lot of these young kids that there's a lot of high hopes for these young kids. But ultimately, we're going to see a lot about what they are here pretty quickly. Luckily, Georgia Tech is not the most throw-happy team, so you might be able to get away this week. We'll see. But you're going to face some squads down the road that are going to try to throw on you, and your corners are going to have to be good. And so that's a massive loss. I mean, just massive. You can't understate what Benjamin Morrison meant to that defense, just from a leadership perspective, as well as on-field production. When he went out of the game, they were not the same defense when he had little injuries early in the year. So it's going to be tough for this secondary to get it together. Luckily, they are still really good in the safety position. And you might see one of those safeties play a little nickel corner to help out because they have 3 safeties that are starting caliber. But it's going to be a tough run for the secondary to see what they can become. But I have faith in the coaches, and obviously some of those young kids to step up, but they're just going to have to step up a little sooner than expected.
Yeah, it's, I think, for the young guys that have been playing on defense, Young has played, that he's going to be a player.
Oh, absolutely.
Young's going to be a player.
And let's not forget, Benjamin Morrison played as a true freshman and was an absolute lockdown corner. So it's not impossible.
So we just need to get some guys some reps, and a lot of people want to get hung up on injuries, but at the end of the day, you got to play with who you got, and you can't make excuses, and that's just what it is, in my opinion.
Absolutely.
I've never been one of the big people that have been on the, well, we didn't have so and so that game. No, you got to play with who you got. You got to play with who you got, and with that being said, I think that the thing with Georgia Tech that scares me is that they can really move people up front, and we'll dive into it this weekend. So this week. So we'll have to see, and then we'll have to see if we can get the ultimate Georgia Tech defender on maybe this week or this weekend.
We'll see. I'll see what I can do. We can probably make that happen, but easy now, Zach. They're not bending anybody over. All right. But in other Notre Dame news, there was some big news that came out today. Recruiting-wise, Notre Dame flips 4-star quarterback Blake Hebert from Clemson to Notre Dame in the 2025 class. Obviously, we know a couple weeks ago, Deuce Knight had flipped from Notre Dame to Auburn like we had been predicting and saying for a couple months now. And Notre Dame went out, and I said it when he flipped. They need to go out and they need to try to get somebody. And that's about as, he's the number 6 dual threat quarterback in the country. Obviously was committed to Clemson, had shut down his recruitment, hadn't gone on visits, and Notre Dame went out and told him, hey, Clemson's cool and all. Why don't you come to a real school? And he agreed. And so that's a big get for Marcus and this class to try to reinforce this class and keep it afloat because it was losing steam quickly.
Yeah, that was a huge get that I didn't see coming. As far as the Deuce Knight thing, the only thing that makes me wonder is where do we go from here, because we need some receivers. Is it all going to be transfer portal?
They got some receivers on roster that are young. Obviously, 2025's class is not rich with receivers, so they'll probably fill in with some transfer guys. But they're going to have to hit 2026 really hard. Eventually, you got to start bringing in receivers and skill position guys in the recruiting cycle. You can't lean on the transfer portal every year. Obviously, they brought in 3 transfers this year with Bo Collins, Chris Mitchell, etc. And so they might have to do that again in the next couple of years, depending on how the young guys develop that are in the room now, and then how the 2026 class develops. But you're going to have a gap year there where there's not much in terms of wide receiver play. I don't think there's really anybody out there that you can go get right now in the 2025 class. I think you're going to be hard pressed to flip anybody worthwhile. So I think that part's probably written.
Yeah, I feel like once they get, a different cue in there that, they're slinging the rock all the way around the yard, I think that'll change.
That wouldn't help, or that wouldn't hurt.
So I think that'll change, and, that's, with that being said.
I agree, ZD. Going to Notre Dame is, I guess unless Notre Dame's NIL isn't up to par and you're not going to make as much, I don't understand why you wouldn't go there. If you can make as much money there as you can anywhere else, or even more, the degree you get from Notre Dame. But a lot of these kids that are top tier kids aren't thinking about degrees. They're thinking about 3 years and getting to the league. Would you rather spend 3 years in South Bend, Indiana, or 3 years down on South Beach?
Yeah, well, it's
I mean, just saying.
yeah, it's
Yeah,
just one of those
but
things.
but if they're good kids that come from a good family with good parents that are directing them the right way, Notre Dame's recruiting pitch should be pretty unrivaled, right? Because
Yeah.
it's like, yeah, exactly. You can only play so long. You're going to need something to go back on. And the alumni base, I'll tell you a quick story before we get out of here. But one of my brother's really good friends playing football at Dublin Kaufman, two of the kids that were a year younger than him went to Notre Dame. One was Brady Quinn, and the other was a kid by the name of Chinedum and Duquit. Both of them very highly sought after recruits. Brady had offers from everywhere in the country. Ohio State really wanted him. Michigan, Notre Dame, you name it. He picked Notre Dame because it comes from a Catholic family, and he liked the Notre Dame lore. Chinedum had offers from all over the country. Came from a really strict family his dad is one of the best people I've ever met. And his dad told him, yeah, you could go to these other schools and play, but what you're going to earn out of going to Notre Dame is something that not many places can offer you. Number one, the degree is worth its weight in gold, right? And then on top of that, he went on, he was a 6th-round draft pick. He played a couple years in the NFL for the Bengals, a couple other teams. But since then, he has built an extremely successful business. He owns a couple franchise restaurants, things like that. But he's also built a extremely successful real estate and everything like that company. And the reason he was able to do that is because he had a degree from Notre Dame and he had connections to the alumni base at Notre Dame. So that's not something you get at every university. Ohio State has a great alumni base. They offer a similar product. The school's a little different. Ohio State's still a great school. I'm not bashing them. But so those are the things that if you have the right influences behind you, like Chinedum's dad, absolutely Notre Dame sells itself. Unfortunately, not everybody has that. So it's tough. But
Right.
I agree. If you really look at it objectively and you put aside the instant gratification side of things, Notre Dame is absolutely a school anybody would want to go to.
100%. Well, with that being said, Carter, we're closing in almost on an hour and a half.
Yeah, sorry, this one went a little long. Had a lot to talk about.
Monday Night Football's going on. We got playoff baseball going on. So with that, there's a lot of viewing.
You know what
going
we
on.
didn't do once in this whole entire time?
What's that?
First of all, thank you to everybody who tuned in. Second of all, if you're tuning in on Twitter or you're watching on anything else, jump over to the YouTube. Hop in the chat. We got a couple guys in here tonight we've been showing comments here and there and everything like that. We love interacting. So hop over to YouTube, hit the like and subscribe button, hit the little bell up at the top. That way you get notified when we're going live and everything like that, and you can hop in. But that way you can interact with us. We can't, if you respond to our live feed on Twitter, we can't show that on the stream, so we can't get to it until after the show. So come on over to YouTube and watch over there. But thank you, everybody, for tuning in. Absolutely.
Couldn't have said it better myself. With that being said, we're going to be live every night this week. So we got Richie coming to join us tomorrow. Carter's going to be producing the show. So we got a lot of stuff planned for this week and possibly the weekend. So everybody out there, tune it in, appreciate it, and have a good night.